Light is an electromagnetic transverse waves, and therefore it can vibrate in all directions, unlike longitudinal waves that don't vibrate. Since light can vibrate in all directions, it can be polarized. Now, to make it simple, physicists bound it to waves in the vertical and horizontal axis, like in this picture. Light is polarized using a filter that allows either only the vertical or only the horizontal light wave to pass. In this picture, we see the first polarizer that allows only the vertical light waves to pass. The same thing happens in this picture. Now, a pair of polarizers can be used to adjust the intensity of a light source. So first, only the vertical waves pass, and another angled polarizing filter reduces the intensity. Malice's law allows us to determine or predict the emerging light intensity using the angle between the two filters. So how we calculate it is using I0, which is the unpolarized light intensity, times the cos squared of the angle between the two polarizing filters. We can see in this graph here how the intensity varies according to the angle. It's important to notice that at 90 degrees, the light intensity is 0.
Alright, so now we're going to start off with the methods and materials part. First, we're going to start off with materials. We have a portable laptop, a light sensor connected to the laptop through a USB, 4 universal stands with 4 clamps with a clamp each, 2 polarized lenses, a laser over here, and your sensor over here.
Alright, so initially Data Studio was downloaded, it was set up, and it was opened on the laptop. Afterwards, the universal stands were placed on the table. The 4 clamps were attached, each one of the 4 universal stands. Afterwards, the sensor was attached to a clamp, and then it was connected to the laptop. The lenses and the lasers were then afterwards also attached to each one of the clamps. The laser was then aimed at the sensor in order to try to achieve for it to hit the middle of the sensor so it could receive all the rays. Afterwards, the lenses were placed in the path of the rays of the laser, and then afterwards the angle of one of the polarized lenses only was changed as the other one remained constant, and the data was recorded with the software Data Studio. A couple of sources of error introduced throughout the course of this laboratory is that while we were changing the angle on the lenses, the polarized lenses would sometimes tilt with the pressure of our hand against the lenses, which would somehow affect the angle at which the rays are hitting the lens. Also, the laser wasn't always aiming at the center of the sensor, so the sensor might not have been receiving all the rays from the laser and might have been recording inaccurate light intensities. Also, the light from the other sources could have affected the light sensor, as we were beside other teams who were experimenting with the same phenomenon, and they were also using flashlights and lasers, and so maybe the light from their flashlight could have affected our sensor. Also, the light from outside in the windows could have also affected the sensor. For this to be a perfect scenario, the room would have to be completely darkened, which was not the case. So any type of light could have affected the sensor essentially, and also the accuracy of the sensor may not have been extremely high, since these are collegial equipment, so the accuracy and the efficiency of these equipment is not exactly maximal.